All right, we're going to go ahead and go through chapter 7. If you hear a lawnmower in the background, I apologize. They are mowing the lawns in our neighborhood right now, so sorry for that. But I think I'll be loud enough to speak over it, just in case. So we're in chapter 7. If you printed out the notes, great. If not, just grab a piece of paper, follow along. We are going to be talking about social control and deviance. Why do people follow the rules? Why, when you come into the classroom, you sit in a desk and not on the floor? Why, when you go to a theater, you're quiet? These are social control methods that you guys don't realize that you follow every day. Some of them are formal, like you stopping at a stop sign. That's a formal social control. You can get in trouble if you don't do so by a law agency. Some things are informal. Again, you coming into a classroom and sitting in a chair and not the floor, that's an informal method of social control. So I really hope that y'all read. There's a really interesting case study. I know you're like, oh, I'm not going to do the case study. You really should read this one. It's called The Saints and the Roughnecks. There was a 1973 article that went to this town, and they looked at two groups of boys at the same age. One was nicknamed the Saints. Interestingly enough, these boys were from upper class families. Of course, they're white. They dressed well. Their parents had respectable jobs. But they engaged in behavior. They graffitied. They drink and drive. They'd skip school all the time. But when people in the town were asked, like, oh, what do you think of these boys? People would speak so highly of them, even though they were engaging in this type of behavior. And in that same town, there was a group called the Roughnecks. And again, same age as the Saints, and engaged in the exact same type of behavior. They graffiti, they would drink, they would go to parties, they would do this and that. But they were from lower class families, lower socioeconomic families. And so when you ask the townspeople about those boys, they would speak very ill of them. Oh, these boys don't want to learn, they don't care, this, that. And the only two differences, the income of these kids' families, and the Saints were, because they could afford cars, were able to go to the town over and like do all their bad behavior, so it wasn't seen as clearly by the townspeople. And so this reveals a lot about human perception. We almost cannot help ourselves in judging others based off of where they come from, who they hang around, and what they look like, even if it's not fair. So let's go ahead and go to slide number 6. If you have a pen and paper, you need to write the definition for internalization. Every society has to have norms in order to run smoothly. If all of a sudden we had no rules, as exciting as you may think that is, okay, we would fall into chaos. This whole place would burn to the ground within hours. Society needs norms and rules to run smoothly. I know we don't always agree with the norms and rules. They can be very frustrating at times, but it has to be, a lot of them need to exist to maintain order. So internalization is the process by which a norm becomes a part of your personality. You are conditioned in your youth, the moment you come into this world, you are conditioned to conform to society's expectations, even though you don't realize it. As you grow up, your parents are dressing you a certain way. You can't run around naked, okay? You getting dressed and wearing clothes, that's you conforming to society's expectations. You need to wear clothes. Eating 3 meals a day and trying to exercise, maintain, those are societal norms that you are conditioned to do, and it becomes part of your personality. And so again, I gave some great examples. You sitting in the chair, this is on the slide, instead of sitting on the floor, you've been conditioned to do that by society. Stopping at a red light, you've been conditioned to do that by society. Now, I don't know if I should, this is all recorded on YouTube and the law might come after me, but when I leave my neighborhood, there's a red light, and it takes forever in the mornings to change. Like There's no cars around. I leave here at like 6:40 in the morning, and I will be at this red light for like 3 or 4 minutes. And so I'm not gonna lie, on days that I'm running a little behind schedule, I definitely do a look one way, look the other, and I break that internalization, that norm of stopping, and I just kind of let go. I should not, but I do. Your parents are probably so disappointed I'm your teacher. I'm sorry. All right, let's go to slide 7. You need to write. I know this sucks for those of you that have to write, but there's a couple questions on your quiz regarding slide 7, sanctions. You've got to write everything on this slide. Trust me, you're going to thank me. Or you can just kind of gung-ho it on the quiz if you're that brave. So there's 4 types of sanctions. There's positive sanction. This is when an action rewards a particular kind of behavior. Basically, hey, you did great on that worksheet. I'm going to give you an A. That's a positive sanction. Hey, you just scored the game-winning layup. We're going to get claps from your teammates and from the people in the stands. That's a positive. We're rewarding that behavior. Conversely, there are negative sanctions. These are punishments or threats used to enforce conformity. You ran the red light, right? You get a ticket for that. That's a negative sanction. You disobeyed a norm, and now you're getting punished for it. There are formal sanctions. These are things enforced by regulatory agencies and organizations. And again, the great example of that is a formal sanction is getting a ticket. There is a government agency that is making sure you don't break the law. That is a regulatory agency. Police are regulatory agencies. There are also informal sanctions. These are spontaneous expressions of approval or disapproval given by a group. So like a spontaneous expression would be at the end of the play, we all stand up and give a round of applause. That was a spontaneous reaction. And it was a positive one. There can be, very negative ones. Gossip. Like, ooh, did you see what she was wearing today? Ugh. Okay, that's an informal sanction. So those are the 4 types of sanctions that exist in society. Now, we're going to go to slide number 9. And you need to write the definition for social control. Social control is enforcing norms through either internal or external means. The main internal mean of social control is self-control. We expect everybody in society to have self-control and to regulate yourself. Yes, someone cuts you off and you want to ram the back of your car into them. But we expect you to have social control and not do that. Now, some people don't have that self-control, and then you see what happens, and then they create traffic jams, whatever. There's external means of controlling you, like the police, like religious figures, a priest. Hey, you cannot engage in that behavior. That's an external social control. Your family. I grew up and my mom had rules, and if we broke them, she was the agency that enforced those sanctions she put on us. Public opinion, especially in this day and age, is a big means of social control. You guys care a lot about what people think. I've seen people break down based off of what strangers have said about them online. Strangers. So today, thanks to social media, public opinion really, really, really matters a lot. Okay. Now, I'm from Texas. Okay, I'm on slide 10. The death penalty has been one of the biggest sanctions that people argue about. Should we be allowed to take someone's life? And this, I wish we were in class. There's always, you should leave a comment and tell me what you think. So I get people that are like, no, we have no right to enforce. We cannot sentence people to death in this country. That is up to God or up to whoever to take their life. And we shouldn't have the death penalty at all. And then I'll always ask y'all, all right, well, if someone comes in and murders your whole family, you would want to see the death penalty for them. And then, of course, I have some kids. Well, that's personal. Yeah, of course it's personal. People that get the death penalty have done horrendous things to people. It may not obviously have been you, but to others, I'm a fan. But again, I'm from Texas. We put people on death penalty on the fast track. Like you got 2 years and you in the chair. Well, we don't use the chair anymore. It didn't work well sometimes. Regardless, I'd be interested to see what you think about the death penalty. All right. So let's go ahead and go to section 2, deviance. So Deviance is any behavior that violates social norms. Deviate. You are deviating off the path of what is normal. That makes sense. So on this slide, if you would write the definition of stigma, there are times when you engage in deviant behavior and you're not going to be stigmatized. For instance, deviant behavior can be you keep talking in class during a test. We don't like that. That's not a social norm. It should be quiet. However, you're not going to get like rejected by society because you were doing that. There are things individuals do though that will create stigmas against them. A stigma, is a mark of social disgrace that sets you apart from society. So people that have been to jail are stigmatized in this society. It's very hard for them. They are separate from us. So even when they get out of jail, it's hard for them to get jobs. It's hard for them to get housing because there's a stigma. Oh, you went to jail. Even if it was for like petty theft, it's still on your resume and people are like, I don't want to mess with someone that's engaged in crime. And so stigmas, while not always fair, are a way we kind of create outcasts in this society. There's other stigmas. When I was growing up, now obviously it's probably different in this day and age, people that smoked weed a lot, potheads, stigmatized. We're like, those people are losers. But now with marijuana becoming legalized, it's definitely different. So, believe it or not, deviant behavior has some great functions for society. And you need to write on, this is slide 16, you need to write the first bullet point. Deviant behavior helps clarify norms, unify groups, diffuse tension, and promote social change. You're like, what? So it's good to be bad? No. Deviant behavior helps bring us together. One thing about culture is we're all I'm 31 years old, I'm mixed, right? A bunch of you guys are, obviously younger, from different ethnic backgrounds, different places. I'm from Texas, this. What brings us together, people that would never relate other than us being, you assigned to my class, is the fact that we have an understanding of how we believe society should run as Americans. We don't believe in drinking and driving. We don't believe that you should be able to go outside again without clothes on. There are some societies that are like shirtless, okay, down, anyway. And so we unify ourselves by having this similar understanding about what's accepted. Here in America, when we greet each other, we shake hands. That's not with the rung around, we don't do that, but we used to. In some cultures, you bow when you meet someone. In some cultures, you kiss. Okay, a lot of Hispanic cultures do that, the French or whatever. So that's something that unifies us. Deviant behavior unifies us. We have an agreement on what laws should be followed or not. What laws should be set in place that we follow as a culture. It also provides jobs. That's a great thing. People that are lawyers, police officers, judges, they all have jobs because there's bad behavior, and we have to regulate it. So there's 3 ways of looking at causes and uses of deviance. There's the functionalist perspective. This is the fact that this is how society runs. Deviance helps us function. There's the good and the bad, and we got to get rid of the bad and stigmatize the bad to keep the good going forward. Now, there are 5 modes of adapting to society, and you need to write all 5 of them. It's conformity and their definition, innovation, ritualism, retreatism, and rebellion. So let me give you examples so you understand what I'm talking about. In America, to quote Gordon Gekko, a movie you guys have never seen, which is Wall Street, probably, it's in the 80s. Gordon Gekko, one of the main characters, says greed is good. In America, greed is good. The want for money is good. And we still have that belief as America. The more you can get, the better. The more you have, the better. So you can conform to this goal. Society says if you go to a good school, you get a good education and a good job, you can achieve that goal. So some of you conform to that already. You are trying your hardest in school. You've already applied to college. You're out of here next year. You're going to get a great job and you're going to start collecting wealth. You've conformed to the idea completely that money is good. There's also innovation. You accept that money is good, but you don't accept the way to get there. So you're like, yeah, I want money, but I don't want to have to go to school to get it. I don't want to have to go through years of training. I don't want to have to get a job and sit in a desk and this and this. So you accept the goal, but you reject the way to do it. Drug dealers, great example of innovators. They're getting money, just not the way that society tells them they should. There's ritualism. Some of you don't believe, like, I don't really care about money. I want to be able to live comfortably, have a happy life, but I honestly, money doesn't mean that much. But you accept and maintain the facade that you care, and you go along with the rest of society. But deep down, you really don't care about money. You really don't care about things. You're just, it's a ritual for you. Like, all right, I'll get up and go to school. All right, I guess I'll go to college because my parents expected it. There's retreatism. These are people that don't care about money, and they don't care about any type of way of getting it. Like your hippie. Like, I don't care. I'm going to live a free life. I'm going to bum off my parents for as long as I can. I don't care about money. I don't care about school. I don't care about any of that. Ugh. They retreat. And then there's rebellion. These are people that don't like the goal. They don't like the means of getting it. They don't like anything. And so they're trying to find new ways to, they're trying to substitute new goals. Like, forget money. Why don't we all, use toilet paper as currency? And well, now would that be fantastic? I'm stocked up. We're good in this house. I guess me and my dog are good in this house. So those are the 5 modes of adaptation. And some of you, again, might fall into the ritualism. Some of you might be into the retreatism. Oh, some of you might be in the rebellion. I don't even know. All right. There's the conflict perspective. This is kind of like your Marxist, for my geniuses out there that knows who Karl Marx is, that there's always going to be a struggle between the ruling class and the lower classes. People commit deviant acts to gain or maintain power. And then there's the interactionist perspective. Basically saying that deviance is normal. We want to commit bad behavior sometimes. It's a normal thing. And it states that when people conform, it's because they have very strong ties to a community. You need to write that down. I'm on slide 19. You need to write the definition of control theory. So people that conform to society's expectations are because they have strong ties to the community. What I mean by that is you care about the community and the community cares about you. Those of you that conform to school, your teachers probably growing up loved you and loved your work. And told you very encouraging things. So you have strong ties to school. Some of you, it's been the opposite. And you act up at school because you don't have strong ties to it. You have deviant behavior at school because you don't like that community. And so the control theory states the stronger your ties to community, the better your behavior is going to be, because you want to fit into you want to fit into society. There's also the cultural transmission theory. Deviance is a learned behavior. No one is born bad. You learn how to be bad. You watch other people, you see how they're treated by society, and you follow in those footsteps. Case in point, maybe your dad was, a drug dealer or whatever. And so you watch his behavior, you learn how he did things, and then you do the same things. It's learned. There's differential association. I'm on slide 20. You need to write the definition for differential association. It just looks at the relative closeness to deviant and non-deviant individuals. Like, hold on a second. Sorry. I lost my train of thought. Mostly because, oh yeah. Okay, here I am. No, you need to don't write the definition to differential association. Write the definition to cultural transmission theory. Sorry, that's why I had to correct myself. I had to think about that. So on slide 20, write cultural transmission theory definition. Sorry, guys. It's really hard to talk continuously without getting else input. I don't like this. I can't wait to go back to work, honestly. So there's labeling theory, primary deviance, and secondary deviance. I'm not going to go over those because you all can read. I really just wanted to focus on the fact that deviance is a learned behavior according to that cultural transmission theory. All right, last one, we're going to talk about crime. So I'm on slide 24, and you need to write the definition for crime. A crime is any act that is labeled as such by those in authority. We elect our senators, our congressmen, they make laws, and we follow them. And if we do not follow those laws, authority figures will come and you will get punished for that. That is crime. There is a difference, though, between immoral and something that's illegal. It is immoral for you to lie. If I ask you, hey, did you do your homework? And you're like, yeah, I did, but you didn't. That's immoral. But that's not illegal. Now, if you go lie on the stand like, yo, my boy was with me at 5 p.m. the other night, he wasn't at the murder, and they find out, oh, he was, that's perjury. That's against the law. But just lying is not, but it's still immoral. Now, criminals can be of any age, race, gender, but people under 35 are more likely to commit crimes. I'm almost aged out of crime committing. 4 more years. Because you're young and you make dumb decisions and you're still physically fit. Sometimes crime takes like strength. So once you get over 35, a lot of people, they have families that they care about. They're more settled, they're more mature, and crime really just isn't the life for them. Some of you are like, my grandpa's still doing. Okay, good for Gramps. Good for Gramps. There are different types of crime. There is violent crime. This is murder, forcible rape. So not rape. So if you rape a girl that's passed out, it's not forcible rape. That's just rape. Stupid. Robbery and aggravated assault. It happens, violent crimes happen once every 22 seconds in this country. We have one of the highest crime rates in the world. It's insane. Most victims are African American. And the majority of murders in this country are clearly committed with a gun. And we know definitely lately that's been a bigger issue with the mass murders that we've seen. There's property crime. This is when you burglarize, larceny, motor vehicle theft, and arson. This happens once every 3 seconds. So people opening up someone else's car door and stealing their charger, that's burglary. It happens all the time. People under 25 commit most of those crimes, and a lot of the times they're on drugs when they're doing these sorts of things, because drugs obviously impair you and make you can cause you to do very foolish things. There's victimless crimes. You need to write that whole box right there. You will see that on your quiz. Victimless crimes are things like prostitution, illegal gambling, illegal drug use, and vagrancy. And the reason they're called victimless crimes is because you're not hurting someone else when you're doing this, but it has negative consequences on society. People that constantly are doing drugs, they don't work, which means they could be living off of welfare, which is what we pay for. Illegal gambling. People have got caught up in illegal gambling circles and gotten hurt and things of that nature. And of course, prostitution. A lot of underage people have been forced into prostitution, and it's not acceptable. There's white collar crimes. Basically, tax evasion, embezzlement, price fixing, toxic pollution, all that stuff. And then there's organized, my favorite crime, organized crime. I'm a big fan of the mafia. My favorite movies, some of them are The Godfather Part 1 and 2, some of the best movies in the entire world. But you already know what a mafia is. So those are the types of crimes. I'm going to skip that. This should be the last... I think we're almost to the end. So there in the criminal justice system, if you like Law and Order, the worst offenders. No, there are 3 facets or 3 parts of the criminal justice system. The police that enforce the law, the courts that interpret the law, and corrections that keep everyone that we don't want out society away from us. So you need to write those 3 things, just police, courts, and corrections, and you're good. And you need to know those are 3 types. We, in this country, we're very different from a lot of countries, developed countries, in that we have a juvenile justice system. Kids here can go to jail. That is not the case in a lot of other countries. They will find, a lot of times they'll send them to rehabilitation, counseling, things of that nature. We are one of the few countries that has juvenile justice system. And some people are like, that's good, we need it. There are some kids that's behavior so bad they need to be locked away. But at the same time, a lot of people argue some of these kids can't help it because of where they've come from. Maybe they're doing this out of necessity, or this is all they know. So it's an interesting topic to discuss amongst people and see what they think about that. So that's the end of chapter 7. I will post the quiz in a couple days for you to take. So if you need to go back through this video, because you don't have to finish it all at once, and listen and all that good stuff, then you can do so. Just be on the lookout for a quiz. I will get some worksheets out to you as well. You'll just use your online textbook to do. Very simple, and then turn back into Google Classroom so I can grade it. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy. See some of you next year.